position has been, we announced on Martin Luther King holiday in a big rally we had in Washington that we're going to, in 90 days, release a boycott list all over the country. But in the interim, we're going to do a boycott. We're going to go and support those that support diversity. And you must remember these DEI programs are not only for blacks, it's for LGBTQ, it's for disabled, it's for veterans. So our position is very simple. If you do not want to commit that you will have diversity in your workforce, diversity on your board, diversity on your C-suite, then why would you want to have diversity among your consumers?
Yeah, there's some in the black and brown community that say if you boycott stores that sell our products, that actually hurts us.
Tabitha Brown in particular said this.
Well, but I think that is like saying in segregation time that if you fight for desegregation, I'm going to lose my job that is unfairly paid and unfairly done. We want black businesses to prosper, but we don't want them to prosper at the expense of dealing with the larger issue. We should take those companies and support them, put them online. We'd rally for them. We'd have buyouts with them. They should be calling us rather than trying to defend people who may give them shelf space, but will not guarantee that for the community. So there's a way to make both things happen at the same time. If Mr. Trump and his supporters can tell you you cannot make sure that you have a diversified workforce, then they can't make a law to make us shop and spend our money where we're not guaranteed that there's going to be fairness. Diversity programs started because there was bias against those communities. Now you're going to tell me when we're trying to correct the bias that you're going to penalize the companies? No, I don't think so.
Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. That, as you see, Ron, is a different take than your last roll-in. Reverend Sharpton explains why we're going to Wall Street on August 28th. And you're a coordinative part of that movement, aren't you?
Hey, Gilchrist Experience, Mr. Gilchrist himself and Mr. Graham. So excited to be on another episode with you all. As you said, August 28th is the date. Well, why August 28th? On August 28th is historically the day where Dr. King, August 28, 1963, gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. Well, this year, NAN, for the first time, is not going back to Washington. We're going to Wall Street. So in Dr. King's speech, as I learned, I know some of you guys were there, Dr. King said, in a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. And when we talk about what check we're talking about the check that the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence had promised us. And we're saying that was for every American, but we have been giving a check, the Negro people, a check that has bounced, that has been marked insufficient funds. These are Dr. King's words. So we, on August 28th of this year, are going to Wall Street. Well, why Wall Street? As the Reverend Al Sharpton always says, a robber robs the bank because that's where the money is. So we're going to Wall Street because that's where the money is. All of the people that we've been fighting against, I'm going to use the word oligarchs, right? That could encompass a lot of different types of people. Their money, their pocket is on Wall Street. So Dr. King used this bad check metaphor to illustrate how America has failed to deliver on its promise of freedom, on its promise of diversity, on its promise of equality for all people, especially us Black people. The Constitution and Declaration of Independence declared that all people were guaranteed unalienable rights, a life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But we know that we have not experienced the American dream. As Malcolm X said, we've experienced this American nightmare. We've seen this big, beautiful bill passed a couple of days ago They cut DEI efforts that were meant to even the playing field for all Americans to have access to the American dream. Now they've cut Medicaid and they've also cut SNAP, all to empower this ICE military that's the biggest funded army on the planet, so that they can again come against our rights unlawfully. But we've been saying that we refuse. We've been saying we're going to our 79th week in front of Bill Ackman's office to protest because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we say we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. So we're asking for everyone to come out in the thousands on August 28th for the Dr. King commemoration as we march on Wall Street, because again, they might feel like they have the power, but we have a power that's greater than any dollar, and that power is in the faith of each other and the faith of our God.
Before we come to you, Graham, I'm going to give run item 2. This is a little Black History Month review, going back to 1619. For my great-granddaughters here today, getting acclimated to the studio, and we'll go to item 2, please.
There are those who claim America's true founding was in the year 1619, when African slaves were forced across the Middle Passage to come to the New World. They claim that America is rooted in oppression and racism. These are the claims of the 1619 Project. But the true founding of America happened in 1776, when a group of rebels fought for independence from the British and built America with one idea in mind: freedom for all. Our founding fathers saw the future, a world without slavery. But America did not start out this way, as some were not free. Sadly for America, some refused to embrace the idea of freedom for all. They thwarted laws prohibiting the importation of slaves, laws intended to end slavery in America once and for all, and would have certainly preserved the barbaric institution of slavery forever. A civil war was declared. Over 300,000 white men fought alongside 36,000 of their black brothers, and all made the ultimate sacrifice, giving their lives to end slavery. Proponents of the 1619 Project refused to acknowledge this history. After the Civil War, America remained a divided nation, flawed, but now free to all. Reconstruction laid the framework for what many blacks might have considered an unimaginable future, and it began with over 15,000 blacks being elected to office. By the turn of the 20th century, America began to experience an awakening as black culture was sewn in the fabric of the nation. The lines began to blur between black and white. Black culture slowly infused with American culture. Still, the struggle continued. Hate groups like the KKK continued oppressing blacks. Laws were passed to prevent blacks from gaining the true American dream. Undaunted, America marched steadfastly toward its great vision, a vision enshrined in the nation's Constitution.
I have a dream. One day, this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its dream.
The dream, mentioned by Reverend King, would eventually be embraced by all. The entire country lauded sports legends like Jesse Owens and Joe Louis to destroy the idea of Hitler's white nationalism. Many other blacks destroyed racist and bigoted stereotypes as black engineers, scientists, doctors, judges, scholars, authors, playwrights, poets, and entertainers became mainstream to the American culture. Why would anyone want to destroy such a legacy? A legacy of overcoming adversity to form one nation under God, one unhyphenated America.
Heritage Foundation.
Amazing. That's from a show we did, Graham, in 2020.
Right.
Leroy and yourself were there, and we had Jeffries on Zoom. That's one
But
of
I
those
saw
shows
the
I ran across.
Heritage Foundation is on the credit on the back of that.
Uh-huh. I
The
don't
Heritage
know.
Foundation,
I know. I saw that this morning. I can't explain that. But a lot
See-
of, well, it was a good presentation. I don't know why the Heritage Foundation. I'll find out.
they have a habit of presenting themselves as being somewhat beneficial towards the cause, but they are the cause of the cause.
Yeah.
The Heritage Foundation, for the most part, drafted Project 2025.
And most of the Supreme Court justices.
So they play both sides of the fence to have Black people think that they have a concern for Black people, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I was thinking of the 4th of July. And the 4th of July, 1876, a number of Black South Carolina militiamen in Hamburg, South Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
was slaughtered by a former Confederate general and a mob of about 2,000 white people after they marched in the 4th of July parade.
Mm-hmm.
The general was upset because they wouldn't move out of his way because he wanted to walk through the formation with his carriage. Not walk through, but ride through the formation with his carriage as they were assembled at the end of the parade route.
Mm-hmm.
This man was lauded. This Confederate general was lauded in the U.S. Congress. And I think of Hakeem Jeffries in the presentation he gave this week, because in 1876, Congressman Small of South Carolina did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
To speak out against what the government had done and in allowing these Confederate rebels,
Mm-hmm.
just as this guy has allowed these modern day white supremacist rebels who tore into the Capitol,
Mm-hmm.
they have been treated the same way as the Confederates. They
Yeah.
have been given pardons,
Yeah.
come back and to run. Some of them are running for U.S. Senate. Some of them are in the administration.
How about the
Nothing.
mass ICE agents?
And the ICE, this is just like the teams of men you had running through the South,
Right.
terrorizing Black people, burning their homes, running them off their land, stealing their land. We're going through the same process again.
Yeah.
They talk about Crispus Attucks was the first to fall for freedom in this country.
That's right.
Crispus Attucks' father was an African man. His mother was a Native American, not a Native American. She was a native indigenous woman of this continent.
Mm.
He represented the two most downtrodden groups of people in this land. Crispus Attucks was shot twice, not once. He was shot twice in the chest. I would say once for being Black and once for being a Native and indigenous, the son of an African and an indigenous woman. He was shot twice. So we need to understand that the only thing that changes is the date on the calendar.
Yeah.
The program is still the same. Economically, we need to be researching corporations like Nike, which doesn't own a factory in a white country.
Mm-hmm.
Their factories are in countries where there were brown and yellow people. And they were paying them, some years ago, paying them 37 cents an hour. Let me get it right. 37 cents an hour, because they said that was good enough money for them where they were. The women's bathrooms didn't even have doors on them.
Yeah.
They played country hillbilly music over their heads in low ceilings and gave them no protective gear to put the adhesive on the sneakers as they were making them. The same sneakers that cost Nike $17 to make, they were selling, and our people were killing each other over them for $200 and $500.
Mm.
I've never owned a Nike product, and I never will. My sons have never worn one. because they knew what they were doing then. So you can't apologize to me now and say, oh, I want to help. I don't want your help. Don't want your help, because you were a liar from the beginning. You knew what you were doing was corrupt and evil when you were doing it. Don't try to look like a humanitarian now in this day. So as we go to Wall Street, you got to start researching these companies. Georgetown University sold 132 of their slaves in the 1800s to keep Georgetown University open. But we have black people going to Georgetown trying to play basketball to help Georgetown make billions off of basketball, while these late-day slaves are not getting paid for bringing money into Georgetown. We got to change the script, got to change the program. If we're going to do economics, let's do economics. And let's stop spending our money and giving our money to the people that hate us and turn around and use us through advertising. Well, we fail to understand that the people that hate us, we financially support and sustain them. We need to stop spending the money.
Well, you know, it's time for unity, that's for sure. We should learn from history, because it always repeats itself. What do you think of that piece, Ron? You still here?
Yeah, no, I'm still here. I just want to say thank you, Graham, for your awesome presentation. You know, I think about where we are currently and how this administration has been gun-ho on taking us back into a place of you know, becoming an America of again, of the elites. And the question is, what are we going to do in this time? You know, we're not talking about back in the day. We're not talking about the 1619s. We're not talking about the 1950s and 1960s. Right now, we're watching white supremacists run our government. We're watching a dictator
Klansman
take over the government in ways. Right, we watch the Supreme Court give power to the executive branch, cut off their own hands. We're watching just I think a show that we thought we would never turn our page to. So the question is not so much where are we. The question is, what are we going to do to stand against this situation? Like I hear a lot of people talking. Of course, a lot of people are not informed. You know, they just rolled back affirmative action. So affirmative action was put into place because many groups were marginalized, right? Many groups were kept out of the system to be able to have a good education, have a good job, get contracts. And we saw affirmative action stripped. We've seen women's rights stripped. So we're watching all of these things happening. And the question is, what are the people doing, and what is the Democratic Party doing? So, what I mean by that is we are watching, as you say, a Klansman in office. We're watching a racist in office, but the Dems lost to that. And what is it about the Democratic Party that they cannot get it together to appeal to the people when our tax dollars are being ripped from us, when our rights are being ripped from us, when disinformation is winning over real information? What is going on with the people that we've elected? We're in some scary times, and it's not just the opposition that's the problem.
Why are you concentrating on the Democrats? The Democrats are putting the best foot forward. It's us as a people that choose the president.
So I can tell you disagree with me.
Now here we go. Here we go.
But I'm going to allow Graham to. I think Graham could use better language than I can for you to understand what I'm saying.
No, Graham and I have argued about this over the years. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you a time the Democrats ruled.
We're not living in that time. We're not living in that time. We're dealing with here and now. My grandchildren are coming into New York this evening. This ain't about 1800, it's about 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to know how to handle themselves against these demons that are out here. We are not, we don't pick a president. We don't choose a president. Never have, and you never will. That's why the Electoral College exists.
Yeah, we
That's a
went over
myth.
that. I don't
It's a
agree
myth.
with you.
There aren't enough black people in this country to elect a president. That's number two. There are more Spanish-speaking and Latino people in this country than there are black people. You're not electing. Black people are not electing anybody.
The amount
And
of people that
unfortunately,
didn't
a lot
vote.
of these Spanish-speaking people have been doped up with the idea that there are white Hispanics
The
and black
voters
Hispanics.
picked the president.
They bought they
80
smoked
million
the dope,
people didn't vote
and they
in the
think they're
last
white.
election.
The same people in Miami voted Republican for a man who is dogging the people just like them coming across the border because they think they're white. Janet Reno told them years ago when Elian Gonzalez was here, shut up and sit down. We'll send you back where you came from. We're going to determine where this boy is going to live, not you. And they were like, yeah, we'll send you back to Cuba.
This is why we have the presidents we have. Because we sit here and argue about the Democrats.
We're not
what
arguing.
They don't
You better
do.
make it plain that you understand and know what you're talking about. That's what you got to do.
Let me.
You got to know what you're talking about.
Let me be very frank.
I know what I'm talking about. That's why I presented this conversation.
I love the heated conversation. Oh, I love the temperature is rising. And
I wanted to show how we deal with situations. I give you the past and the present, and what do you do? Argue.
From the Republican Party and got rid of their own candidate in this past election.
It's true. The Klan started the Democratic Party, right?
That's right.
If we be clear, if we talk about history, and then they sold us out, right? In the
and Lincoln was a Republican.
But my point is this: we know that both sides, either red or blue, don't really may or may not have us. But we got to pick the best side that has our interests.
That's it.
But however, both have dropped the ball when it comes to equality. How do we know that? Because we're dealing with the mess we're dealing with right now.
People who don't vote, people who don't vote, drop the ball. People who don't vote, drop the ball. People who don't vote, drop the ball. Look at this last election. 80 million people didn't vote.
And the Democratic Party said that Biden was too old and he should stand down. And that mantra came from the Republican Party. And they were dumb enough to pick it up and run with it. They took the baton from the Republican Party and
what do we
ran
have
with
today?
It to the finish line and tripped
what do
and
we
fell
have
10
today?
feet in front of the finish line and
what
got nothing.
What do we have today?
You got what you got because the Democratic Party.
See, that's the whole attitude. That's the wrong attitude.
Yeah.
We
Don't
got
worry about my
it
attitude.
before
I'm talking
people
facts.
didn't vote.
Don't worry about my attitude.
So let us
go
turn
back
the
to
conversation.
how,
if we could turn let's stay right here, because every time I try to say something, I feel like I get cut off.
Speak up, bro.
And I know you feel like it's 2 against 1 on the host, and it's not what's happening. If we look at what's going on right here in New York, we don't got to look at the country. Look at what's going on right now in New York. We have a Southeast Asian running for the mayor of New York.
Yeah.
And he took the primary by, and I want to tell you, Cuomo was backed by the same people financially that Donald Trump was backed by.
Mm-hmm.
And Cuomo is a Democrat. He's not a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are backed financially by the same people that are backing Donald Trump, you have to now ask yourself, why is it that someone from a different party who has different ideologies is getting backed by the same investors?
Trump used to be a Democrat.
So Bill Ackman, the person I'm picketing from every week, backed Donald Trump and he backed Cuomo. So Zoran Mamdani, whose politics is a lot different than the politics that are of the normal or regular Democrat, has taken this party by storm to the point where people in the Democratic Party are going against this candidate. And and I want to say this, a lot of them are even out of touch of what the people are saying, because the people are coming out voting for Zoran Mamdani. Why? Because we are tired of the same rhetoric. We are tired of the same behavior that we've been seeing from people in the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. Something has to shift. Something has to change because we're actually losing this country to, I want to say, to not only wickedness in high places, but we're losing the battle on the ground to our constituents. So we have to figure out what is going on in our party. We have to be able to look at the people that we're putting up, because we're actually investing in, and you guys might not like this term, losers, old losers. We need to invest in the next generation. We need to invest into people who are connected into something, and we need to see a different America, an America that is unified instead of being with leaders that divide us.
Yeah. All right.
And I want to say this, and you're not going to like this. You're not going to like this. Whenever your champion loses, you have to blame your champion to some extent. What did the person or the party that you align with, how did they allow for you to be in the place that you're in?
I blame the people who don't vote for all the problems that we have.
Well, we're not talking about the people who don't vote. We're talking about the people working.
Let me bring in my favorite president. Play item 4. I want to remind people how the world can be run, how it should be run from a spiritual standpoint.
You better not bring up Bill Clinton. I'm gonna turn it off. Come on.
I got something better than that.
Yeah, we don't want to see him. We know it's Barack Obama.
He is described as an enigma, a charismatic figure whose historic triumph in the 2008 election evoked emotion not only at the Capitol building, where 2 million people gathered to witness his inauguration, but to almost every corner of the globe. His story inspiring millions who identify with his struggles. His family stretches across oceans and continents. His life a fusion of various cultures, religions, and races. It begins in Honolulu, Hawaii in the U.S., where he was born.
Because let's face it, my presence on this stage is pretty unlikely. My father was a foreign student, born and raised in a small village in Kenya. He grew up herding goats, went to school in a tin roof shack. His father, my grandfather, was a cook, a domestic servant to the British. My father got a scholarship to study in a magical place, America, that shone as a beacon of freedom and opportunity to so many who had come before.
At the age of 23 years, Obama Sr. flew to the U.S. to study econometrics at the University of Hawaii.
While studying here, my father met my mother. She was born in a town on the other side of the world, in Kansas.
This play at Nairobi's National Theatre, reconstructing Obama's life through his own account in the book, Dreams from My Father.
Her beauty consumed my soul, that she was sweeter than songs. She was the only omega in my soul.
My parents shared not only an improbable love, they shared an abiding faith in the possibilities of this nation. They would give me an African name, Barack, or Blessed, believing that in a tolerant America, your name is no barrier to success.
His parents would, however, separate 2 years later. Obama Sr. proceeded to pursue his PhD at Harvard. His mother remarried and relocated to Jakarta, Indonesia, with her husband Lolo Soetoro. His sister Maya Soetoro would be born there. Obama was only 6 then. But his mother feared for Obama's safety and education and sent him back to Hawaii at the age of 10 to live with his grandparents. His father went to visit him there. It would be the last time they met. His father returned to Kenya, leaving behind a boy who grew into a sporty young man.
I played well in the pitch, 3-pointers. I scored.
But a young man who was struggling to come to terms with his identity as a black man raised by whites in the absence of his African father. 10 years later, when he was 21 years old, a call from a lady who introduced herself as Aunt Jane came through from Nairobi, informing Obama of the tragic road accident his father had succumbed to.
No. Not my father.
Years later, he visited relatives in Kenya and made an emotional visit to the graves of his father and grandfather. In 1988, Obama joined the Harvard Law School, where he made history.
He became the very ever first black president in the Harvard Law Review. The Harvard, the nobody not talk around watching TV. He reads and reads. He choose volumes and volumes of books. He discovered the papyrus ring. He built the Egyptian pyramid. He was the first Egyptian pharaoh. He is sharp and hardworking and passes his exams with flying colors. You are.
You didn't finish?
What's with the mask?
Welcome to Gilchrist Experience. Few technical difficulties, but you saw Barack Obama. Well, we're live from Manhattan Neighborhood Network. You know, that was 2020. Another show we did, Graham. You know, when I was saying Hillary hating got us Trump. See, the whole thing is the Democrats always fight amongst themselves, and we wind up with the worst, the worst of everything. That happened twice with Trump. I just showed that to show you how we got to where we are. We didn't take hold of the goodness and the people that we always found fault in everybody that was on top. We blame it on us that are the most sincere politicians or political people, or people look for justice and righteousness and the love of God. These are demonic forces in the White House. It's a good fight between good and evil. And we got to be careful the evil in us doesn't prevail. That's what Trump's bringing out. He's getting us to hate again because we're justified in hating. But that kills our spirit. And we fight amongst each other. Worst of all, the Willie Lynch syndrome. So I just say all this.
We're not fighting.
I just say all that. We're having a conversation. I had this conversation because I know this would occur. But the youth in our midst, like your grandchildren, and Ron right here, he's in his 30s. I got a great granddaughter here, 19 years old. She's watching all this. How we present our past and what the future looks like and what it should be like. It should be a solid ground of justice and righteousness and remembering our history and what we've been through already.
That's what I've been saying for years.
Yeah. So
Democratic. Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
So I just want to. You showed this beautiful clip of Obama, and Obama showing, I guess, his African heritage.
Exactly.
And as beautiful as that clip was, and you know, I think we all idolize the presidency of Barack Obama to a certain extent. We have to be real about what happened. And what came to mind in my heart was the word and vocabulary word for all the young people listening, the word backlash. Mm-hmm. So Barack Obama is the first black president, only black president that we've ever had, 2008, 2016. And I heard white people tell me when he was elected, oh, racism is over.
Yeah.
Right when he was elected. But during his presidency, we saw the rise of the Tea Party, which is a racist group that still pushes all kinds of, racist politicians. We saw voter ID laws come to suppress the black vote. We saw a surge in hate groups, conspiracy theories, which then led to the election of Donald Trump. And during that time, we saw the George Floyd, Black Lives Matter backlash. We saw right now we're seeing the attack on libraries, on Black history, on critical race theory. Now we saw it on the word woke, woke culture.
Ron, take your hand out of the camera.
We saw affirmative action being taken. Thank you, I appreciate you. And then we saw we're seeing all of these backlashes. So every time we take one step forward, there's always been in the history of this country them trying to take us back. We can go all the way back to the Reconstruction of 1865 to 1877. So after the World War, the Civil War happened, and then the Emancipation Proclamation happened, we saw a backlash of the Black Codes, which restricted Black freedom. We saw the rise of the Ku Klux Klan, and then we saw the Jim Crow era, of which happened in the late 19th to mid 20th century, and that followed the gains of Black politicians all throughout the land. Then we saw Jim Crow laws enforced. We saw enfranchisement. We saw the Red Summer in 1919. I know you were alive around that time, Mr. Weatherspoon. And then, which was after Black soldiers returned from World War I, demanding dignity. We saw white mobs come at Black folk. We saw the race riots in Chicago. Then in 1954 to 1970s, this is your era, we saw, following the Brown versus Board decision, the killing of Emmett Till. We saw massive restrictions. So every time there's a game, there's the backlash. And the question is, in our time, how do we withstand this backlash, and what are we going to do to move the pendulum forward?
Well, you're going to give us an answer to all those questions you just asked? You're the youth. We're looking to you for answers.
Yes, you have a Democratic Party.
You're in the lead spot. You're
Democratic Party
running
must become
National
proactive.
Action Network. What are you going to do about it, Ron? We just gave you our history. Now you're
I
the
gave
youth.
you the history, not you.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
So what we have always done, right? I think that anyone who comes, as you call me, the next generation, you always have to connect into your history, your roots. I come from, and there's many different types of movements, the house of the belief system of nonviolence but direct action.
Okay.
And it is, I come from that belief system, which is rooted in Dr. King. Right. And for 78 weeks, I haven't been just talking. I've been put into action.
That's right.
Put to pavement.
That's it.
For 7, 8 weeks, I've been like the prophets of old, screaming in the wilderness that change can come, and that this country first needs to repent for that change to happen. And I've been doing it time in and time again. Again, we have a march coming on August 28th. And the reason is, someone says, well, why, if you're doing it so long, do you continue to do it? Because if you don't raise an issue, you can't solve the issue. And we've been mobilizing around these issues for the National Action Network for over 30 years.
You know, the Voting Rights Law, the Voting Rights Act, the push for that started in the 1920s. And there were people who were long gone before that legislation was signed by Johnson. It's not about seeing it in your lifetime. It's about doing what you can do when you can do it.
That's it.
And the Democratic Party is not a proactive party. That's their problem. They get punched in the face and then they scream. That's what they do. You see that 2025
That's not fair.
project? That was drafted 8, 9 years ago. They didn't just come up with that. There was a plan. The Supreme Court said that a corporation is a person, which allowed corporate people and big money to get into politics to undermine the government itself. And now you see you have a Supreme Court that has no value. You have a Justice Department, which is rendering no justice. You have a president who's doing what the devil he wants to do. And the country is in the condition it's in because the Democrats failed to plan, so you plan to fail. I worked in proactive units in the police department. What is it to be proactive? That is to identify the problem and cut the problem out at the root. That's what we did. Crime was the problem. We went out in plain clothes and cut the crime at the root. And we weren't even doing that stupid stop and frisk. We were catching people in the act of committing the crimes. That's how you get rid of your problem. You have to identify it, understand what feeds it, and eliminate the source of nutriment for the problem. This young man here in New York that won the primary, he's talking to people. He can't fulfill those promises. He can't fulfill.
Well, who can?
No way possible.
Who can?
All right. No, he can't. You're not getting a free bus ride, and your rent is not going to be frozen. Forget that. That ain't happening.
Stabilized. He can stop rent stabilized.
Rent stabilization has existed for years, and you don't have it anymore. You don't have it. It ain't happening.
Well, there are rent stabilized.
The fact is, the matter is, the Democratic Party, the current Democratic Party, which was the old Republican Party. Now we got to understand, the same people have been on both sides of the fence, depending upon what the conditions were. All right. So neither of these parties serves us. Neither of them. We need to understand that. They're not here to serve us. They're here to serve themselves.
Who's going to serve us?
The reason why Trump is pushing these Spanish-speaking people out of the country, because the Spanish-speaking people are the largest minority in the country. They don't want the browning of America. Number two, he doesn't want to get caught up in the next election. So you get rid of the largest minority group, just as they did in 1953 with Eisenhower. He did the same thing in 1953.
So what are we going to do to stop this? What are we going to do?
What can you do?
I can vote.
I mean,
you vote. That's right. You voted. You voted.
I can do this show and show the problem.
You voted.
I make everybody aware of what's going on. That's what we can do.
Right.
We talk and we argue and we discuss what the problems have been in the past, what we see coming in the future, and try to educate. So bring people aware of what's going on around them. Now we have leaders, young leaders like Ron here, who knows his history, and we've got to find 1 million other people like Ron and bring up the youth and stop talking about what people shouldn't be doing, like sports and whatever they can do to accomplish their achievements. We have to do everything. There's no one thing any of us can do. We all have to do everything and keep a good spirit and believe in God. And we get rid of the demonic forces. Again, this is a spiritual fight. This is a fight between God and the devil. And we got to be careful of the devil in us. He's trying to bring out the hate. He's trying to get us angry. He's trying to drive us crazy.
I don't hate people. I hate what people do. And I'd be a fool.
I'm not talking about you personally. I'm talking about all of us, Graham. Don't take it personal. I'm talking about a generalization about humankind. How we're governed.
If you know what it is,
each of us is giving our own individual opinion. Opinions are like backsides. Everybody's got one.
That's right. That's why nothing's happening.
So I'm giving my backside no, everything's happening. Maybe not according to your judgment.
I'm not going to sit here and cry about where the country is right now. I'm not going to cry. Because you get what you deserve. The people are getting what they deserve. They're getting what they asked for.
I don't agree with you.
And
that's not.
Whether the vote was manipulated, that's another theory.
That's
a tactician
of course
has,
you know it was manipulated. You know it's manipulated, Ron. Graham?
No. Any computer can be manipulated.
That's right.
Any computer. The Department of Defense has been hacked by a 15-year-old. Anything can be hacked and manipulated, just as people's minds have been manipulated for over 400 years in this country. That's what that is.
So what do we do about it?
I'm doing what I can do.
That's
I raise my children. I'm taking care of my grandchildren.
All right.
And I'm not throwing myself
away. And you encourage people to do as you do.
If I tell you the light is green, don't cross the street, and you want to go out there and cross the street, that's on you. That's your problem. You can't tell me that I haven't spoken and talked to you, and you go out there and you get your behind run down. That's your problem. I'll call you an ambulance, but I got other things to do. Jesus did the same thing. The young ruler came to him, right, Ron?
You can't give up on people, Ron.
And Jesus told him what to do, and it says he walked away sorrowfully because he walked away knowing that what he was doing was wrong, but he went and did it anyway. And you know what Jesus did? Jesus went about his business. He wasn't going to waste his time with somebody that wasn't going to listen.
Well, because I hope everybody's going to stomp off mad and give up on people.
And those people, you got to
Don't
leave them
give
behind. You
up
can't take
on.
everybody with you on the ark.
Don't
Everybody ain't
give
getting on
up
the ark.
on people.
I'm not giving up on them.
Yes, you
I'm
did.
going
You
on to
just
do
gave
what I
up.
got to
You
do.
said you
I
don't
give
care.
up. No,
I
no,
told
you
you
got to make a
once.
decision, brother. You got to make a decision. When you make your decision, that's your cast on your life.
Yeah,
That's
they
not
made
my,
a
Not my
mistake.
problem. You made it. You were informed,
And
and you made
they
a
can
decision,
correct that mistake.
and you're going to live with your decision.
I'm just saying, from my standpoint, you know, a lover of God, you can reach out to the better part of yourself, of your human nature. And this is where we have to appeal to.
If I can answer the question, and the question is, what are we going to do, and what is the strategy? I think that's the question.
Yeah.
And the strategy is clear. We have to create systems outside of the system.
Right.
You have to create a system to fight the system.
Right.
And what is the purpose to do that? The end goal is to do what they're doing to us right now, to change the law.
Mm-hmm.
It is not by, for many years, they're trying to say it's our DNA, we're not qualified, you know, DEI is for people who are not qualified. It was because of laws, nothing in our DNA that made us not qualified. They put in law that we could not read and write, and put laws in place that we couldn't progress in this country. We have to, the tides will change. As bad as they look today, the tides will change. And when the tides change, the question is, can we get in and change the laws so that they're equitable for everybody?
Well, we're going down to August 28th and change the tide.
So one march is not going to do it. It is only the beginning. We have to continue like a storm that is first quiet, and then we have to continue to build. The kind of building that we've been doing for 78 weeks and the kind of building we're doing for August 28th is only building momentum. It is like a snowball that builds into a snowman. We have to continue to get the word out. We have to continue to mobilize. Even though we've been beat, because we have been beat, we've been out-strategized. Some are saying the voting machines were hacked, whatever. That's all still stuff that we have to go in and check. Then we have to check what's going on with policy. We have to check our politicians, because I'm going to say something that you don't like. A lot of Dems in Congress are voting with Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
When Green stood up to protest against Trump, Republicans stood up so that he can be disciplined, but Dems stood with them too.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to check some of the Dems that we voted for, and we also have to get involved in the Republican Party so that our concerns are raised there as well. We have to educate, and then agitate. So part of this program, while we're on it, is to educate, but a lot of people in the streets don't know what's going on.
Right.
We got to get back on these preaching ladders, right, Graham? They used to preach off ladders.
That's
right. 125th.
That's right.
Never happened again.
That's right.
Today is preaching off a ladder, telling the people what's going on as they're going to get their groceries.
But ICE will come by and lock you up.
You know what's going to happen to ICE? They're going to get in one of these cities, and the people are going to beat them to death out there.
That's going to happen in Harlem.
So
they were in Harlem 2 weeks ago.
When's the last time you seen a preacher locked up for preaching truth to power? It got so silent. It's been such a long. So part of it is that we don't have nobody punching back on that level.
Well, ICE just got $70 billion.
It's not about the $1 billion. It's about the people.
What is it about if it's not the $1 billion?
Let me tell you this. So look. The Knicks just lost to the Pacers in the playoffs. That went over your head. It went right over your head. I'm going to say it again.
A bad
the
analogy.
Knicks just lost to the Pacers. It's the best analogy.
What?
Because the Pacers are a small market team, and the Knicks have most of the money in the NBA.
What does that have to do with what we're talking about?
You have. It matters how much
basketball.
will and fight you have in you.
We're talking about our lives.
Winston, you're missing the point, Winston. You're missing it. You open your mouth and made a statement and don't understand the statement you made as he's responding to it.
What was that?
It ain't about the budget of the ICE. It's not about the budget for ICE. It's not about that.
What is it about then? What did
It's
I
about
miss?
the heart of the fighter. It's about those who come together and collectively fight against the powers that be. If you are a team that has all of the money, it doesn't matter because the rules of the street, money does have nothing to do with that. We can overwhelm the jails. That was what Dr. King did. He overwhelmed the jails. They could not lock up enough protesters. Dr. King himself, with his marches, wasn't great because he would scream and sing throughout the street. He was buckling the system. Dr. King didn't have millions of dollars against the government's billions of dollars.
So where are you
but
going
as long
with
as you're
this?
able to build a system to fight the system, it doesn't matter.
The anaconda is the biggest snake in the jungle.
All these
It can
analogies.
eat what it wants. It falls on its prey. It consumes it. But the anaconda has a nemesis.
Stop for a minute. Now,
The
my
ant
statement
eats
was...
the anaconda. The ant eats the anaconda after the anaconda has killed its prey. And that's
stop
what's
for a minute,
happening to the
Graham.
United States. The ants
I want to
are
go
eating
back
this
to
country
finish
alive.
this
The
this
little people
comment
are
I
going to eat this
made.
country alive.
This comment I made was that doing the bad, what happened this week, $70 billion went to ICE. That means they can hire all the Klansmen and the militias in the world, the Proud Boys and all the other gangsters out here in the street. And 2 weeks ago, ICE was on 116th Street. Now, throwing a basketball
What does that
analogy
mean to your
to what I
history?
said is
What
not.
does that mean to
not
your
in-
history? They lynched us and we're still here. We went
But
through
why
slavery
would
and we're
that
still
cause
here.
you to
What
bring
do
in
you
a
care about
basketball
ICE
analogy?
when we have chain breakers amongst us? Is the power with you or with them? Why are you so scared of them? It feels like David and Goliath. When all of the people of Israel saw Goliath, they said, "Look how big his shield is. It's worth so many shekels. Look how big his armor is." And then a little boy from the field came and said, "Who is this giant to defy the armies of God?" The question is, what side are you on and what side do you believe in? Do you believe in ICE and the billions of dollars in a budget? Or do you believe that God, who is over and king of all things, who has all resources and power in his hand, can deliver us in this time?
I'm
said
waiting for
about
you.
6
I'm
years
waiting to
ago.
play this one back.
Six
This
or
is
7
crazy.
years ago, I said
What
the
I
day
was
is going
saying,
to come
I'm warning
when
you
military
what's
troops will
happening.
be facing you
Now,
down in the
are you
street.
aware
Your own
that
army. I said
that-
that 6 years ago, and you're there
I'll
now.
put this in. Trump was just nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize by Netanyahu.
Yeah, well, he's another dirtbag that needs to be taken out too.
Dirtbag. He's a Hitler.
He is.
This is the demonic force that's out there. And they're getting more money and more money. That's what I meant by the $70 billion going to the devil. It's demonic force.
The devil does what the devil does.
Well, we got to fight it, devil. And not bring up an analogy of basketball.
You
So what I
you
was
still
saying
didn't
about
understand
that,
it.
you
You
I
still didn't get
understood it,
You
but
don't get
you
it.
didn't get my
still don't
point.
get it.
You
It
didn't
went over
understand
your
what
head.
I
It's
was
still going
saying.
over your head.
And what I said to you went over both of your heads.
No. Amuse yourself. Amuse yourself.
Well, I'm doing
The
that.
finances of the New York Knicks, dwarf many other teams. And the money they had to buy the team they got, they still lost because they're a scrub team.
And
It's
that
not
has
about the
what to do with the Proud
It's
Boys
not about
and,
the money. It's about the
and
skill.
Trump.
Because it doesn't matter how much money they have against the team of the army of the Lord. That's what we're saying.
Okay. All right. I agree with that.
That's the analogy.
All right. More analogies. I hope you guys had a good time.
Out in the mouths of babes. Tell them, Ron. Tell 'em.
Boy, oh boy. Well, I just wanted to say it's pleasant dealing with my peers. And I've been Democratic and liberal and throughout my life, and I fight the demons that are within myself. And I see this whole thing as a test of your spirituality, Can you tell the difference between the devil and God? And I think this is the purpose of this show, to rile everybody up and get the juices going. And what direction are you going in? Is it towards your spiritual part, or is it towards your demonic part? It's human nature to hate things that are unjust and do right. But that's not what we're up against. This man in the White House is crazy. He's a crazy man. And all the other crazy people behind him. Selfishness and greed are ruling the planet. It always has. It always will. But we good-natured people have to not hate ourselves. And not put out the hate or become hateful. We have to be spiritual and God-loving. That's all I'm trying to say. From Gilchrist, worker for Christ. That's my sermon. Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. As we do every week, I have a minute and a half. So, and I hope you guys had a good, you had something good to say. I'm sure a lot of people will agree with you. But I'm saying the people who don't vote, that's the problem. It's not the Democrats, it's not the Republicans, it's the people who don't vote, who give up and say that they got what you deserve. You weren't smart enough to correct your mistake. But you are smart enough to correct your mistake. You have to learn to give in to your mistakes and learn from them. And go on and prosper in your own mind. Solve your own personal problems first. You got to love yourself first before you can like other people. If you don't like yourself, boy, you had a hell of a way to live in life. Because you think everybody's like you. And that's what's happening to us as a people, as a human race. Okay, and that's what I'm trying to say. You got to love the God in you. And with that,
God is in you. God ain't in everybody.
That's right.
He's not in everybody.
Everybody's got a devil in them too. You got to be careful of that part of you.
Everybody doesn't have a devil in them.
Every human being has a
divided amongst itself cannot stand.
Well, my preaching
I'm
is
walking with God and the devil.
I got a couple. Well, you never believed that, and I truly believe that. I believe every human being is given God and the devil in them, and that's the struggle of each individual. Each human being. That's my opinion. And I get to speak it here at the Gilchrist Experience.
Well, that's good. An opinion. Speak the truth.
Yeah.
Speak truth, not opinion. Truth.
I speak truth. That's my truth. The God in me loves the God in you. And stay tuned for more of the Gilchrist Experience.
That's the only truth.
Stay tuned.
God. You and I are not truth. You don't have truth. I don't have truth. It is God that has truth. He is truth.
That's what I'm saying, Graham.
No, not your truth. You said your truth. Your truth and my truth doesn't count. That's the only thing that counts is what God says. That's what counts.
All right. That's what I'm trying to say, Graham.
No, well, say what you mean and don't tell me
I said
that's
it,
what you're trying
and
to
you
say.
didn't
Say
understand it.
that's
You didn't understand what I was saying. You took it your way.